I love great conversations. Hi, my name is Angel Jones. Thank you for joining me on 12-Minute Convos, where I help you create a brand of your own unique, real self. Listen in as I have conversations with amazing people from all over the world. Good morning, Rhys Morgan. How are you going on this wonderful, beautiful morning?
I am, as Johnny Lee Dumas says, ready to ignite.
I love it. Yeah, I'm ready to ignite his episode count. I'm almost there.
Fantastic. Yeah, irresistible hook to get people interested. Fantastic.
Exactly. Thank you. So tell us, which of your talents, Rhys, is responsible for us connecting at this time?
We connected, I believe, because you saw my LinkedIn, which has, I'm launching a podcast called the Social Good Podcast. We're at socialgoodpodcast.com. We launch in January 2018.
Wonderful. Now, what part of the world are you in right now, Rhys?
I'm in the West Midlands in the UK, a city called Birmingham. Right. I know there's another Birmingham, but this is the Birmingham in the UK. I think this was the first one.
All right, I think so too. Well, tell me, Rhys, which of your talents is responsible for us connecting? In that, what have you done to create the podcast you are going to create now?
I've had a varied career as a personnel officer, might say. I've worked at Harrods, I've worked in a call centre, and I was a parish priest for a long time, but things went wrong, bad choices, bad decisions, and things went from bad to worse, and I lost nearly everything. So I came to Birmingham from mid-Wales, sorted myself out, and did a bit of volunteering, set up a social enterprise, and it's from that really. I also work at the rehab that got me better, but I set up a podcast because I was meeting other social entrepreneurs doing amazing things, and I thought that we need to get their message out as much as possible, and I get to speak to guys I really love talking to. So that's why I do it, really.
Love it. So you're going to share those conversations with the world.
Exactly. That's the plan.
Love it. Who did you learn the skill of what was necessary to do a podcast from?
Do you know, I've been fascinated by radio since I was a child. My mum used to present a local radio programme in Wales, where I was born and brought up. And she used to, I'm the eldest of three young boys, and she recorded the show on a Saturday afternoon for broadcast on Sunday lunchtime. It was like a best pick of the week. And I used to go along with her. I would have been about 5 or 6 years old, and she'd do 2 run-throughs, and I'd be in the studio with the headphones. And for the third one, the actual recording, I'd go into the tech room, at the engineering room, with all the mixers and all the knobs and the buttons. And that, for a 5-year-old boy, is heaven. And I guess I was allowed to press the buttons. Wow. So I thought radio was the coolest thing ever. And when podcasting came along, my dad was listening to them. Dad was in his late 70s at the time, and my son, who was in his early 20s, was listening to podcasts. And I thought, I'm in the middle. Why is this old guy and the young guy listening to it, and I'm not? So I listened to every podcast I could, the Stephen Dubners, the Johnny Lee Dumas, the James Altucher, all those sort of guys. And then since then, I've branched into, I love the history one, What You Missed in History Class. Right. I just love that podcast. And I'm a podcast junkie, if you like, by now. Instead of alcohol, I overdose on podcasts almost. And I thought, right, I want to do my own. And even if I just start by sharing other people's stories, then that's what I'll do. I just needed to get started instead of learning all about it and reading blogs about it. I just needed to get out and do it.
Love it. Wow. Well, that's fascinating. That's an amazing story. Well, definitely welcome. Welcome to the podcaster's world, my friend. I appreciate
Thank
it.
you.
Sending me the first download link, please, when you do launch.
Yeah,
I
of course.
definitely appreciate that. Well, tell us one other thing that you've done, Rhys, consistently over the last 3 years.
Procrastinate.
How does that make you
It's not
feel?
what procrastinate, and I felt really bad about it until about a fortnight ago, and I was listening to an audiobook by Mel Robbins. It's called The 5-Second Rule: Transform Your Life, Work and Confidence. And she talks about creative procrastination, in as much as we have all these ideas and then we put them off. Self-doubt and whatever kicks in lots of the time, but sometimes it's about letting the process happen, letting the whole idea, almost by osmosis, I like to think of it as, to sink in, and eventually hopefully I don't pick up the next shiny object. I sort of get on with it and stop worrying about being perfect. I cannot be as good as you. I cannot be as good as Johnny Lee Dumas. I cannot be like Stephen Dubner. I can only be me with the equipment I have now. I can't wait to get a fancy microphone and a mixer and all those sort of things. So I'm just going to start with a headset and my laptop and just get on with it.
You sound great with a headset and a laptop, Rhys.
Honest, that's what I've got. There's no padding. I've heard about people putting towels down. I've heard about people recording in closets. No, I haven't been that organised.
Well, I'd like to see what people will do to get your voice.
Thank you very much. And the other thing is, I can't stand the sound of my own voice.
It happens.
And that's been a major hurdle.
Oh, can I give you a secret to do with that?
Yeah,
I can give you a secret. When you're listening to yourself, listen to yourself on 2x. Like 2x speed. It helps.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, it helps.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome. It doesn't remove it completely, but it helps. Yeah, it's challenging for me to listen to myself as well, but 2x helps it tremendously.
2x it is then from now on. Cool.
And again, for those listening, that means there is a button where you can speed up how you listen to a podcast. So there's usually 1.5x, 2x. There's also half x, which is really funny to listen to, but 2x definitely helps.
2x.
There we go. Suggest to someone out there that's listening why they should do what you've done, my friend, by launching, by getting started.
The world is full of good ideas, but ideas are nothing without action. People need to hear my message, I am told. So it's almost my duty just to get on with it and share what I share. Not to stress about numbers. If only my mum and you listen to the first episode, then that's okay. That'll be good enough to start with.
That'll be 3 of us, right?
That'll be 3 of us.
Love it. Well, amazing audience, you're hearing it live from Rhys Morgan. Again, he is the podcast host of the Social Good Podcast. Well, Rhys, let's switch gears for a moment now and let me invite you into my time machine that is surrounded with beautiful, warm, blue Caribbean water.
Whoa,
Rhys, what is your earliest childhood memory?
I was thinking about this. What sprung to mind was my mum was a local government representative, an elected councillor, what we call a county councillor in the UK. And I remember being picked up one afternoon from nursery school. So I would have been about 3.5. Her meeting was overrunning, and I went to the back of the council chamber and played with my cards and tried not to cause a disturbance.
Why do you think this memory is so clear?
Because the format of the council chamber, as I remember it, is very common in chapels in Wales and the UK, and at the occasional courtroom I've made attendance as a result of my addiction once or twice. So I think that's what brought it back. If somebody wants to be Freudian, they can delve deeper into it, but that's what struck me thinking about the question.
That's intriguing. Well, can I offer an interpretation to the thought picture you created in my mind?
Go on.
I love the idea of your life path where you've constantly been the person who fades out into the background, where you observe things And I'm glad that in this time, you've decided that it's time for you to go to the front. Not because it's built on pride, not because it's built on false confidence, but it's built on the social good of helping others understand that they too can go to the front of the room to share their stories.
Wow. Cool. I'll take that.
If we fast forwarded to when you were 12, what was your favorite song?
A group called The Undertones and a song called Teenage Kicks.
It's amazing how it connects, right? Like the undertones, right?
Yeah.
No longer the
undertones.
undertones. You are now becoming the overtone, if you would, on your podcast, right?
Cool. Yeah. I'll live with that. I'll take that.
Well, Rhys, we've arrived at our destination, but before we get off of this time machine, there is a small declaration form. So it's yes or no, possibly a bit more. We're going to move pretty quickly here. Are you ready, Rhys?
Yeah, go on.
Rhys, have you chosen someone to pass on your skills to?
Not yet.
Are you married?
Yes.
Do you have children?
2 from my first marriage, 2 adult boys.
Do you believe in God?
I do.
Do you have an inner circle of friends?
I do.
Do you watch TV for more than 3 hours a day?
Certainly not.
How about 3 hours a week?
Barely that.
What about
3 hours a month?
All right. What about screen time, the phone and or the computer? Is it more than 8? All right. There we go.
Yeah, more than 8. More than 8.
Rhys, if you had to share with us your own unique real statement, a statement that represents who you are, what would you say that is?
Progress, not perfection.
Love it. Rhys, this has been a great pleasure. Before you leave, is there anything else you'd like to share with our amazing audience?
Go to socialpodcast.com and follow me on Twitter at Rhys B. Morgan to hear when episodes are released. I'd be really grateful. Sorry, it's a shameless plug, but we Brits aren't very good at self-promotion, so I've gritted my teeth in pushing that.
No shame. Again, Rhys is spelled Rhys, right?
Yes,
yeah,
that's right.
Wonderful. Hey, just like the undertones of your voice that are pretty rambling, if you would. Not rambling, but echoing. It's really fascinating. Would love to hear that podcast. Look forward to that. Rhys, thank you, my friend, for being on What is Inspired by 12-Minute Convos with Angel Jones.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Angel.
Thank you for being on 12-Minute Convos with Angel Jones. Stay tuned for more from our advertisers.
Diabetes is a mountain pandemic. It's a disease that's not acute but chronic. Similar to this rhyming method, I have simplified the definition, the signs and symptoms, and the complications of diabetes for both adults and children in my books, Poems for Patients, A Focus on Diabetes, and The ABCs of Diabetes for Children. These books are available on Amazon.com, and for more information, you can visit my website, poemsbyaj.com. That's poemsbyaj.com.